I drove long haul truck, you know, 53-foot drive van with the semi 18-wheeler for 48 states in Canada for 10 years and 1 day from 1994 to 2004. In June 2004, I stopped, and it almost killed me. You know, I went from when I started, I was 285 pounds, and when I stopped, I was 465 pounds. I gained 180 pounds. No, I gained 200 pounds because I was I four? I was 265 when I started, and I was 465 when I stopped. And you know, I was getting ready to die, man. It was like I couldn't breathe, I couldn't walk, I couldn't sleep. I had sleep apnea undiagnosed. I didn't have a CPAP. I felt weak, you know, I could barely move. I just was miserable, and felt like I was gonna die. And I was like, if I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die fighting. And then I saw this thing that there was a cage fighting team in Mariposa. I was like, that's it. I can fight. I'll get in shape by using cage fighting. So I approached the team owner and like the team captain, Bobby Hoffman, and said, hey, you know, I don't really have any money, but I have these crazy mad photography and video skills. Like, I'll trade you my skills and all my effort for training. And they said, yeah. And so I started training, and I lost a lot of weight, you know, like over. I mean, that wasn't the only thing I did. I did a lot of things. I took medication. I did hypnosis. I changed my diet. You know, crazy exercise, and I eventually lost 180 pounds. I got down to 285, and when I was to 285, man, I was a lean, mean fighting machine, man. I was in good shape. Jiu-jitsu, I mean, you know, I was tough. So in 2007, well, I trained for over a year, and then I would do the fight. I would do the photography for the fight for King of the Cage and Gladiator Challenge, and you know, I told the promoters from the Gladiator Challenge and King of the Cage that I wanted to fight, and they gave me a fight. So that's my fight that's on YouTube against that giant 406, what was he, 425 pounds, 6'8", the Grizz, you know. And he had 7 prior fights, and you know, so I was going against a much bigger, much more experienced cage fighter. And 5 days before my fight, I tore my rotator cuff on this arm, so this arm didn't work. So I got into a locked cage with a giant for a real fight. You know, I didn't care. I didn't care that my arm didn't work. I didn't care that he was much more experienced. It was like, this is my chance to get in the cage and fight. And I was gonna do it if I had to crawl in. And I was so happy I got to do it, you know, like right when we're getting ready, we're backstage getting ready for the fight. I hear Paul Vasquez, and the big giant guy comes to me, he looks at me all mean and angry, and I go, hey, and he's like, we're supposed to fight. And I said, yeah, thanks for fighting with me. And I put my hand on his shoulder and smiled, and I said, oh, it should be fun. And I was wearing a Yosemite Indian shirt. And I know the guy was like really respectful of Native Americans and stuff, because he identified with Native Americans. I don't know how, but when I put my hand on his shoulder and smiled, his whole countenance changed, and he smiled and he looked at me and he said, yeah, it should be fun. And so you know, when he knew that I was a lot smaller than him and a lot less experienced than him, you know, so he won. I mean, he got on top of me. At one point I knocked him down, so I did pretty good. You can see this in the fight. It's on my channel. It's got 1/3 views. But you can see I knocked him down, but because of his more experience, he got on top of me. He got up faster. than me, and that was the key to the fight. Him getting up faster, and then he got on top of me, and then I'm like, I got a 425-pound trained cage fighter on top of me, who's wrenching on my good arm. You know, like I don't need to kill myself or wreck my other arm. So I just like, you got it, and the ref heard that and stopped the fight. So, but you know, I knocked him down. I did pretty good, and the promoters were really happy. You know, it's like, we didn't think that you were really going to go through with it, you know, but I was like, yeah, of course. So they asked me to fight about 3 months later and for the Native American World Championship. And the title was on the line, but I didn't get the message till too late, and like I hadn't trained, and I probably would have did it, you know, if I had got the message, but against Warpath. They wanted me to fight Warpath. Anyway, so yeah, I used cage fighting to lose weight, and you know, it was like I got all those years. I got in shape, you know, I was really good, in really good shape. And I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna die anymore, you know. So it's like all that time is all bonus time, and after that, you know, that's when I went viral after that, you know. It's like, anyway, so when I got to a point where I was like, oh, I'm not gonna die anymore. I remember this was in 2008, and I remember when that hit me. Me and my son were in line to go to Jimmy Kimmel for the first time, and I'm like, I'm gonna live, which, you know, and that, my whole thing was like, I thought I was gonna die young from the time I was young, because my dad was 44 when he died, and his brothers, they all die young, you know. So I was like, I'm gonna die young, or at least I'm gonna have a big battle on my, you know, for my life when I'm in my 40s. So like my whole thinking, my whole life was like, I'm gonna have this battle in my 40s. And you know, when I got to that point, I was 465. I needed to have a battle for my life, and I never thought past that. And when I realized that, okay, I'm not gonna die, that I won this fight, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do with my life. You know, I didn't really need to work anymore. I was like, I had figured it out, where it was like I can just do whatever I want. So it was like I felt like rudderless. I didn't know what to do, and it really depressed me because I had no purpose. And then I decided I'm gonna be a servant for my fellow man. And then I remember like things started ramping up, and then in 2009 I did this ceremony called Dreaming a New World, where we put our hopes and intentions and dreams into these crystals. And we would go every 2 weeks. We did this ceremony in a yurt, and we would go every 2 weeks, and we would pray on these crystals. And then after 3 months, on the spring equinox, we birthed those crystals, and we buried them. We in a ceremony, we buried them under a fruit tree so that our dreams and hopes would bear fruit. And right when that ceremony was starting was right when the single rainbow, Giant Intense Rainbow, came. And me and my son had smoked a joint on that video, and we were like, right when we're getting ready to go to that thing, man, that's intense. That was like the start of like the whole double rainbow coming, you know. It was like, it was almost a year prior, and I went through that whole long ceremony, and I was like, I had all these dreams. It's like, and we did this shamanic ceremony, and I had a vision that I was a butterfly, and I was going all over the world like a butterfly goes to flowers, and it was making them happy, and I was supposed to be like a butterfly to go all over and make people happy. So when the double rainbow came, I had been so depressed, you know. And then on New Year's Eve I had a vision, and I recorded it. It's on one of my videos, the full moon rise, and I was like, I'm not going to be depressed anymore, you know. And then it came to me like, okay, now, because I'm that butterfly, I'm free to love. I can love now completely. And when I realized that, the double rainbow came as a sign, and it made me famous. And after I filmed it, I forgot about it. Like right when I filmed it, I put it on YouTube. I mean, when I first saw it, I was shaking because I knew the power in this thing. And I was like, I had to get it on YouTube right away because I don't want to, you know, I don't want something to happen. So I immediately uploaded it to YouTube. And I put it on Facebook and I said, send this to everyone you know because this is going to be a viral video. And then I forgot about it. You know, it was like, I just didn't even think about it, but it was like, I could feel something was coming. Like, I shot it in January and it went viral in July, but like March, April, June, I was like, something's coming, something big is coming. You know, I was telling all my friends, like, I don't know what it is, but I know something big is coming. And then July 3rd, 2010, I woke up and Sage was coming over and I checked my email and it was full of messages from YouTube. And I was like, you know, 100 of messages. And I was like, what's this? I just clicked the thing, delete all, and deleted it all. And then I checked it and it was like still full. I was like, whoa, there's, you know, over 200 messages from YouTube. I'm like, I better read one. So once I read it, and it said, Jimmy Kimmel tweeted your video. You're so lucky. And I'm like, yes, it hit. It's happening. So I called Sage and I said, hey, my video's going viral. And she's like, what does that mean? And I said, it means I'm going to be famous. She's like, shut up. You know, and I'm like, no, really. And I said, it's got 1,800 hits in like the last hour. And she's like, oh, big deal. I'll be impressed when it has 1 million. So, and like she came like 3 hours later and had 18,000 hits. And you know, in those days, that was a big deal. Like that was pretty much unprecedented. And like, I didn't get any calls that first day, but the next day, July 4th, man, the phone was just ringing off the hook. And then we went to Bass Lake, so I was gone the next day, that day. But after that, man, it was just non-stop phone calls ringing. It was crazy, man. So I think this is another chapter where I got to go into like when I went video. But that's kind of a synopsis of between 2004 and 2010. You know, I was just like this. I was super poor. You know, I had 25 grand when I stopped driving truck, and I was like, this is gonna last me because I don't really have any income. I have no government assistance or nothing. So, you know, I was just living on my expenses then and now are like $500 a month. So I was like living on that, you know, and trying to be frugal and like not go anywhere and not spend any money and I ran out of money. I ran out of money in 2010 after 6 years. And I was like, shoot, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And I remember going to a sweat and praying for money and then going viral and just going, okay, I don't have to worry about money anymore because it's coming. I know I'm gonna have money now from this video because I'm viral. Anyway, there's some vlogs for you.